struggling to explain to my uncle, or to get my uncle on board with this honoring this family and doing the most that we can with this land and investing in each other in ways that don't include money, which is something this family really understands, but time that they so greatly and so freely give to one another. And it's amazing to see the siblings do this. Um, Now I'd like to see us start to acquire more with this land that we have, to bring the family closer as opposed to cutting apart, which land has often done, which wealth has often done. And so I look towards the leaders in my environment to say, my mother says there are no leaders in this family. Well, what are leaders? Those who lead by example. She says that black people don't talk about these things. And in another interview, you've seen my grandmother talk about how little black people told their children about their situations in their past. And of course, we understand that it was terrorism. It was traumatic, and they wanted to leave it behind. But the terror continued through Jim and James Crow, and through today, their son, James Crow Jr. We still live in a very segregated society, and it's highly, highly structured along a class hierarchy. It is. And the fact that we've learned to define wealth on Western terms means that we have to fight a kind of colonialism ourselves. It means that we have to redefine what wealth means, perhaps based on a very different paradigm that defines wealth by how many people you feed, and not how many people, and not how much capital you gain, which is a very different concept, but it is wealth. And if you're a family man, for example, a patriarch or a matriarch, and you're able to feed 30 people, 30 of your relatives, consistently, is that not wealth? But those who are able to usurp public resources, polluting water and air, human rights violations, and gain tremendous amounts of wealth, are allowed to do so. And interestingly, those of us who are here on the streets observing the paraphernalia of suffering, the rims that are spinning and spinning and spinning on people whose cars are much better kept than their own homes, and certainly their bank accounts and their personal lives sometimes. And you wonder, how did we let it get so bad that we as a people are so destroyed, where we no longer have a concept of honoring each other that we would get from an African cosmology, but we also don't quite get the European concept of capital. And we're struggling between the two, and we struggle hard, and words can't express how deeply that I feel about seeing black people healthy in any community, seeing black people happy and not having the struggles that every one of us has in a city where Walmart determines the food that you eat. The biggest businesses are pharmacies, because so many people are obese, so many people have diabetes, and this is returning into a sick colony, an illness colony. And that's America, and it's just our diets, and it just does it to people. But our family, we actually have a traceable amount of information that tells us about a way of life that is very different. I have an uncle who, to say that he knows organic farming is to reduce his amount of information about land and using land in so many different ways to support one's life. I mean, when I hear about my great-great-uncle Sam, who would go into the forest for 3 months at a time and live on his own, using the land and not destroying it, I listen. I see that as an example. That's also a leader. But by financial terms, he was a poor man. When I see my uncle Lonzo, who, yesterday he gave us an organic meal from his garden, with condiments made from organic ingredients from people that he knows and traders that he knows. This man over 80 years old probably never, even now, has heard of the word organic, has an authentic organic lifestyle. And it's not something that we're able to transmit from generation to generation. I have two uncles now. They're interested in organic farming and making use of this land because they also realize that we need to wean ourselves from the dependency of Walmart. Yet they have books, not even the internet. And we're looking at schools that can teach them that. But our concept of wealth doesn't permit us to take advantage of that uncle who knows all of these things and has an amazing teaching style. The man is hilarious. So how do we go from A to B? And I struggle.